Look, it's one thing to say 40 years. It's another thing to fully understand the significance of 40 years. So, Legal Outreach has put together a video timeline that will allow us to hear from those who are instrumental in the development and growth of the organization. Now, in this first video, Legal Outreach's co-founder and executive director, James O'Neill. There, come on, quicker, you gotta be quicker. Seeing who's awake, come on. It's where he shares his inspiration for co-founding the organization immediately after graduating from Harvard Law School. You'll see how the program planted seeds within the public schools of Harlem with the support of law students from NYU and Columbia who brought the law to life. And you'll see how the lessons learned led to the formation of what is now known as the College Bound program. Enjoy this glimpse into the first 2 decades of Legal Outreach.
Looking back at myself as an 8th grader before joining Legal Outreach, I didn't really know the options that were set out for me.
I think I was really focused on the day-to-day survival and thinking about tomorrow and not necessarily about my future.
Before joining Legal Outreach, I didn't know how to set goals and achieve them.
I was always hesitant to take opportunities. I didn't really have a lot of guidance and support.
I was not as confident.
I was a blank canvas. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I wanted to do something exciting that developed me and helped me grow into a great human being, a great adult.
You have to aim higher and you have to kind of know yourself. And I felt that like during my 4 years at Legal Outreach, I really learned to feel like, you know, I can literally achieve whatever it is I set my mind to.
To think about not only what I want to do with my future, but also how to get there.
I've become the man that I am today in large part because of James O'Neill, Beth Cooper, and the opportunities that Legal Outreach afforded me.
I never thought that I could mesh my passion for community work with my commitment to social justice with the rigor of the law.
Now, because of Legal Outreach, I know I can.
After graduating from Harvard Law School in 1982, I could not have predicted that I would be at the helm of an organization that would impact life trajectories. When I came to Harlem over 40 years ago with a 1-year public interest law fellowship, the only thing I knew was that I wanted to be a part of the continuing struggle to equalize opportunity, especially for minorities who had been historically denied their rights to full citizenship within this great country, and whose life prospects were marginal at best. As an African American growing up in the South, I realized that I was fortunate to have made my way to Harvard, but once I arrived, I was quickly exposed to the differences governing the life prospects of the privileged versus the underprivileged. It was all in plain view. Yet, it ignited within me an intense desire to be a part of the movement to bridge the divide by expanding educational opportunities for those growing up in urban communities. I wanted to improve the odds for success. It was a journey of faith, but as it began, I was fortunate to meet 2 people who played a critical role in the creation and establishment of LO. One was the other co-founder of the organization, Dennis Cotto, who partnered with me for 2 years before attending Georgetown Law School.
Well, I was born and raised in East Harlem, a product of a broken family. But I had some people in my life who gave me an opportunity to go to college. And in college, at Hampshire College, I had an epiphany that in order to succeed, you have to have not only people, but you have to have the right tools to change and break the cycle of poverty. And so I came back to my community of East Harlem. First thought that the solution would be to help people through paralegal services that James and I, in our original office, we had a team of paralegals helping folks in the community with their legal issues. But afterwards, I realized that that was a short-term solution to a long-term problem, and realized that education, meaning the curriculum that we would later develop to empower kids to think critically, analytically, that was going to be the key tool to breaking that cycle of poverty and allowing the kids in our communities to prosper.
The target audience during those early years were students from Harlem and East Harlem. Working through the school system, and especially with social studies teachers, we sought to provide young people with instruction about rights and responsibilities and insights as to how the law and the legal system could be used to improve the quality of life in their communities. The goal was to motivate students to become active citizens and advocates for change in their homes and neighborhoods, with a secondary goal of inspiring them to think about law as a potential career path. We sought to do so by creating a full-year, multifaceted law program built upon a curriculum called Law in the Community, which later became known as Law and Social Problems.
I was a middle school teacher, 8th grade, social studies teacher in Harlem in District 5. Our school participated in a legal outreach program.
It was tremendous. The social studies curriculum overwhelmingly meant teaching history. And, you know, despite your best efforts as a teacher to make it interesting, there was a lot that was lacking. And with the legal outreach program, things involved students to a far greater degree.
They found interest in it because it was relevant to their life, whether it was landlord-tenant stuff, whether it was about the criminal justice process. All those things really resonated. For a lot of my students, it was the first time they had to really put that level of effort in academically to accomplish something like that. For them to have to apply their knowledge in that type of way to, present arguments and to really replicate what a legal proceeding was like, it took a lot of students to the next level in terms of their ability to follow through on things, in terms of their critical thinking, in terms of their confidence.
Getting them to understand how all that works was a real challenge for them, but they rose to the occasion. It pushed students, young middle school students, to excel.
Though the curriculum was engaging and relevant, we knew that instruction alone was not enough. To change attitudes and affect behavior, we had to expose students to people in the profession who could give them hope.
When I was a first-year law student at Columbia Law School, I signed up for a class that was called Teaching Law and Social Problems because it sounded interesting, but also the professor was African American. And as an African American law student at the time at Columbia, it was a rare treat to have someone who looked like me actually teaching a course.
So I took the course with James O'Neill, and we spent the first semester developing curriculum to talk about in classrooms with, I think, 8th graders. We covered topics like landlord-tenant issues, PINs, persons in needs of supervision, and other relevant topics that the students might relate to, either with their own personal lives or their families' lives.
I know firsthand what it's like to grow up in a zip code where resources aren't available, where schools are not as, they're not as robust.
And being a law student at the time, being a young law student, young Black woman, I think that made a difference to them. It made a difference to me also.
I could see the brilliance, really, of James's idea of, using these legal issues that had a lot of dynamism to it, that had a lot of relevance.
They were like an open book, really wanting to learn about how the law affected them and how they could affect the law, and it was fun.
I also know it helped them to be curious and grasp the law in a way that was understandable. So again, if they understand the law, they can think, maybe I could go to law school.
Just as importantly, we had to involve them in exercises and processes, mock trials and moot court competitions, that could increase their belief in the system's fairness.
One of the things that struck me about the program was that it showed the students that they could be a part of the system of criminal justice and not just subject to it, that they could attain roles as lawyers, as prosecutors, as defense lawyers, as judges even, and be part of the change in the system.
Whenever you get to have people around you who genuinely respect your capability and are supportive of, not only in words, but in action, of your desire to be whatever it is that you want to be it an attorney, be it a doctor, astronaut, president, you name it. You could see the lights coming on, and you could see what was great in the mock trials and in the practice for the mock trial was just seeing them get into it, you know?
I think it was, it's important for them to see how the system works. Obviously, there can be a perception that the system of justice is stacked against you. And I think through participating in the mock trial program, they saw that the courts and the law aren't necessarily just a system of oppression, but a system, an opportunity to obtain justice for everybody.
You know, debating, constitutional debating, learning debate skills is not something that, is useful only in, the context of high school debating or whatever. It's a skill that really transfers over to everything you do, for the rest of your life. And that's, advocating for yourself, developing a sense of confidence in your abilities in front of an audience, feeling confident in the things that you learn, and feel confident in expressing an opinion.
There was a newfound sense of hope that emerged within us and confidence that arose within the students through the implementation of the program. From the early 80s through the late 80s, we were elated because it was clear that this full-year law-based program for 8th graders was a game changer. Students saw, experienced, and latched on to the possibilities. However, by the time we reached the late 80s and early 90s, it became equally as clear that a one-year program, no matter how dynamic, was not powerful enough to thrust students through high school and into college where they would at least have a fighting chance to pursue their dreams. The multifaceted law program was necessary, but not sufficient.
As we randomly encountered our middle school participants who were now in high school, I became more and more frustrated because it was apparent that our former students were not being prepared to pursue the bright futures we'd predicted for them. Extremely capable students were falling by the wayside. They weren't acquiring the skills, receiving the support, nor developing the disciplines necessary to change their career paths.
Though we didn't have any funding that first year, we, at Bathsheba's insistence, made a commitment to support through high school a limited number of 8th grade students each year. We would provide them with 4 years of academic help, professional exposure, and motivational activities that would enable them to maximize their grades and scores and keep their educational and career hopes alive.
Those programs included a series of life and study skills workshops, an academic advisory program, a 4-year writing program, and a constitutional law debate competition. Those programs were followed by summer internships, a summer SAT prep program, and a college-level philosophy course. The programs were then capped off with a college admissions workshop, series supplemented by individual advising that enabled us to direct students toward the types of schools that would keep their hopes and dreams alive. This series of programs became known as College Bound.
Everyone at Legal Outreach had and has big dreams for every child that steps through the doors, and they understand what it takes to create lasting change. They keep everyone focused on the prize to the best of their abilities and provide opportunities to develop and hone those skills to be competitive and successful at a higher level.
It wasn't until Legal Outreach that I knew what was involved in going to college, and I was excited about going to college because I had done all these papers already because of the Saturday writing class, and I had done the mock trial, and Legal Outreach really instilled in us that college was the next step, and this is what you have to prepare for to get to college, and this is what you're going to expect in college. And I had never really been excited about the process until I understood the process, and that was because of Legal Outreach.
The 4-year, year-round college-bound program worked. Our Harlem students were not only graduating from high school, but gaining admission to competitive colleges.
So now you've seen the progress and what it takes. And now we want you to hear from a brother and sister alumni combination in the flesh who were graduates of the first 2 college-bound classes, Sandy Santana, class of 1993, and my coworker, Maria Santana Guadalupe, class of 1994.
Hi, everyone. Well, Sandy was born first, so I'm going to let him go first so he can tell you all about Legal Outreach.
How it works. Good evening. In 1989, a young, slim lawyer named, he was about $110, for real, James O'Neill, turned my 8th grade classroom into a courtroom and addressed me as Attorney Santana. Those 2 words, Attorney Santana, sparked the vision that helped me blaze an improbable trail from Harlem to Harvard to Columbia Law School and now to the helm of a national children's advocacy organization. Thank you. At just 14, I was an intern at a law firm, and I was the only kid my age who I knew that when asked what he wanted to be when he grew up, I responded, a corporate lawyer. Yes, corporate lawyers in the house. That LO internship experience lit a fire in me, but it wasn't enough. I was a shy kid who did not want to step out of his comfort zone. The mock trials and debates changed that. With each presentation in front of a group of intimidating lawyers and judges, I grew in confidence. With a newfound vision and belief, I committed to LO's rigorous skill-building programs, including those God-forsaken early morning Saturday writing classes. You guys, alumni know what I mean. Although it was not easy to balance school with LO's supplemental academic programs, I dove in head first because I saw the fruits of the extra preparation. I became a straight A student, and LO's free SAT course helped me increase my score by 300 points, making me a competitive applicant to the nation's top colleges. And all along the way, James, Bathsheba, and the LO staff were there to push, prod, support, and encourage me. And here I am, 34 years later, with a full heart, immensely grateful to that young lawyer who, with 2 powerful words, Attorney Santana, changed the course of my and my family's destiny.
And now you know why. Why can't you be more like your brother was all I heard growing up. But unlike my brother, my dream at 14 was surprisingly not to become a corporate lawyer. At that age, I honestly had no idea what I wanted to do. All I knew was that my brother had just joined a program that kept him pretty busy most of the time, after school, on weekends, during the summer. And my first initial thought was, geez, why would I want to do that? After all, I was the cool, popular one with an actual social life, so I didn't want to join legal outreach. But a year later, that same young attorney, here he comes again, showed up at my 8th grade classroom and presented us with the opportunity to participate in Legal Outreach's mock trial tournament. At that point, I relied on the one thing that motivated me for most of my adolescent years, which was, if he can do it, well, I can do it too. Nothing like a little sibling rivalry, right? But the experience quickly showed me that beyond following in my big brother's footsteps, I could actually come into my own. With LO's support, I began to excel, also getting A's, maybe not straight, but mostly. And for the first time in my life, I began dreaming about going to college. Our parents are first-generation immigrants. They don't speak fluent English. They had not attended college themselves. And though they always stressed the importance of education, they could only do so much to help us get there. But it was because of Legal Outreach's College Bound program that I realized that through hard work, determination, and perseverance, not only could I go to college, but that I could aspire to attend some of the most selective colleges in the country. So I ended up at Wesleyan University, which some like to call the Harvard of Connecticut. Sorry, Yale. Of course, I prefer to call Harvard the Wesleyan of Massachusetts. And ultimately, I didn't become a lawyer, even though my husband would say that I did learn how to argue like one. I am an anchor and correspondent for CNN en Español, CNN. Thank you, thank you. And I can honestly say that the values, visions, and skills that I gained during my time at Legal Outreach still motivate and propel me to this day. Writing is essential to what I do, as is being an effective researcher and communicator. How I approach my work today continues to be shaped by how I was taught through Legal Outreach mock trial, college writing courses, and debate prep to think critically, analyze, question, and challenge evidence and examine witnesses. That's right. We might have a love-hate relationship, lawyers and reporters, but our job is very, very similar. And I do all of this, all while focused on one of Legal Outreach's most important pillars, paying it forward by informing, educating, and serving the community.
Thank you. The sibling rivalry is real, y'all. But she got her revenge because no one knows who I am, but people will stop me and say, "Are you the brother of Maria who's on TV?" So there you go. If you're an LO alum, as we are, there are certain principles, LOisms, I call them, that are forever engraved in your mind and heart. Short-term gain leads to long-term what? That's right. And short-term pain leads to? No excuses, right? And my favorite, which somehow did not make the LO accountability pledge, which is boyfriends and girlfriends may come and go, but your grades will stay with you forever. With 3 teenagers now, I have newfound appreciation for that last one. The point is that LO immerses you in a culture of accountability, sacrifice, sharing, and serving that fundamentally transforms you. And because these values are the bedrock of all you achieve, you can't hold them as your own. You're compelled to pass them along. That is why Maria and I cajoled our reluctant sister, Erica, to join LO. She did. Went to Hobart and William Smith colleges and credits LO for her success. And although my children have not gone through the College Bound program, they are also enveloped in the LO ethos. They know they can dream deep. They know their lives should honor the sacrifices our immigrant grandparent or their immigrant grandparents made for me, but for them as well. They know that if they fall 7 times, they have the confidence and license to get up 8. They know that when they lift others up, they also rise. And they know they would not have many of the privileges they enjoy today without LO's early intervention in my life. I see those LO values as a treasured legacy that I pass on to my kids and that I know they will pass on to theirs. 40 years and counting, thousands of lives transformed, and hundreds of thousands more in the generations to come. That is the power of LO.
You know, I really would love to stand here and just say that Sandy and I are extra special, uber talented, prodigy geniuses, but we're not. Our testimonies and experiences are not unique. Among the hundreds of students that Legal Outreach has helped reach their ultimate potential, there are dozens of sibling pairs like us that have endured the short-term pain for that long-term gain. That's right, associated with the program. Of course, there were many days when I would have preferred hanging out with my friends after school or on a Saturday afternoon, times when I just didn't feel like writing another essay. After all, one of Mr. O'Neill's, and I know he wants me to call him James, but to me, he'll always be Mr. O'Neill. One of his favorite stories is that one Saturday that I showed up without my assignment and thought that I could get away with writing it in the bathroom 10 minutes before class. I got caught because, I'm sorry, he looked at me coming from the bathroom with a notebook in my hand. He looked at me, looked at my notebook and asked, "Did you just write that in the bathroom?" And of course, you don't lie to Mr. O'Neill, so I said, "Yes, I did." Of course, I was given a double assignment for the following Saturday. But the one thing that LO never allowed me to do was give up on myself, because they were never going to give up on me. No matter how many times you fall, the program encourages you to get up each and every time. And that's the special bond that the students and graduates of Legal Outreach share. We learn early on that achieving our goals takes sacrifice and this constant strive for excellence. We may all have individual stories, but we have all reached the same conclusion. It was definitely worth it. And I just want to say that the work of Legal Outreach does not stop when you graduate high school. Every time I had a problem in college, I would call Mr. O'Neill or call Ms. Cooper, Bathsheba, as now I'm allowed to call her, to tell her what was going on. Ms. Cooper helped me plan my wedding. They know my kids. They go to they've participated in a lot of activities in the program as well. This is a family. We love each other, and we know that only lifting each other up does this happen. So thank you so much for being here. My brother and I are especially grateful and blessed to be a part of this program.